Over the years, the NFL has seen its fair share of creative, thrilling, and downright dangerous tactics that pushed the boundaries of what was allowed on the field. Some of these plays were so game-changing that they forced the NFL to rewrite the rulebook, while others were deemed too hazardous for the modern era. Whether it's the bone-crushing hits, the sneaky trick plays, or the strategic exploitation of loopholes, those moments have left a lasting impression of the game we love. So today, we're going to find out what some of the wildest plays were banned in the NFL. As the NFL evolved, the league became more focused on player safety, especially when it came to tackling techniques. One of the earliest and most controversial plays to get banned was the horse collar tackle. The move was popularized by defenders trying to bring down fast-moving players by yanking them down from behind with their shoulder pads. It was devastatingly effective, but also incredibly dangerous. Between 2001 and 2004, Dallas Cowboys safety Roy Williams gained notoriety for using the horse collar to great effect, injuring 5 players during this time. The most infamous incident came in 2004, when Williams' tackle on Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Terrell Owens resulted in a broken leg and torn ankle ligaments, sidelining Owen for months. After these repeated injuries, the NFL introduced the Roy Williams rule in 2005, officially banning the horse collar tackle. Since then, the NFL has penalized players with a 15-yard personal foul for attempting it. Between 2005 and 2015, reports indicated that the number of serious lower leg injuries dropped by 20% in players tackled from behind, showing that the rule's direct impact on safety. Next up is the head slap, made famous by Hall of Famer Deacon Jones. This move, legal during the 60s and early 70s, saw defensive players slapping offensive linemen's heads to stun them, giving defenders a split-second advantage to get past and pressure the quarterback. Jones, known for being one of the most feared defenders in NFL history, used the head slap to perfection. However, offensive linemen paid a steep price, suffering concussions and other long-term brain injuries. By the time Jones retired in 1974, the toll on players' health was undeniable. In 1977, the NFL finally banned the head slap, making it one of the first steps the league took to protect players from head injuries. By 2011, after extensive studies in concussions, the NFL instituted the Head, Neck, and Spine Committee to further examine and protect against traumatic brain injuries, a direct extension of efforts like banning the head slap. Not all banned plays were dangerous. Some are just clever manipulations of the rulebook. One such controversial play is a touch push, or brotherly shove, perfected by the Philadelphia Eagles. The touch push emerged as a go-to play for short yardage situations, particularly when trying to convert 3rd or 4th downs. The play involved multiple offensive players pushing the ball carrier from behind to drive forward and gain extra yards. The Eagles used this play to tremendous success during the 2022-23 season. Quarterback Jalen Hurts rushed for 13 touchdowns, the most for a quarterback that season, with many of these scores coming from this exact play. From week 1 to week 7 of 2023, the Eagles successfully executed the touch push on 41 of their 44 attempts, boasting a 93% success rate. Compare this to the NFL's average 3rd or 4th down conversion rate of around 58%. You can see why this play causes a stir. Critics argue it's virtually unstoppable and have called for the NFL to ban it. However, as of now, it remains legal, though it's clear that this play is on the league's radar for future rule adjustments. Another banned play that pushed the rules is jumping over the line. The exciting move saw defenders timing their jump perfectly to leap over the offensive line. It required insane athleticism and precision, making it a crowd favorite when pulled off successfully. Notable players like Troy Polamalu of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cam Chancellor of the Seattle Seahawks were known for executing with the perfect timing, but the most famous instances occurred in 2016 when Denver Broncos rookie safety Justin Simmons jumped over the Saints offensive line to block an extra point, leading to a game-winning defensive 2-point conversion. While thrilling, the NFL saw the potential for injury as too high, and by 2017, they banned it. The NFL's decision came after research indicated that players leaping into offensive lines had a significantly higher risk of landing awkwardly, leading to leg, ankle, and spine injuries. However, in 2023, Browns' defensive end, Myles Garrett, pulled off a legal version of this move by jumping directly from his defensive stance. Without a running start, Garrett's vertical leap showcases incredible athleticism, and while technically legal, it raised questions about whether this play might see further regulation. The NFL has always been a breeding ground for creativity, with some trick plays so effective that they ended up getting banned. One of the most famous examples is the Holy Roller, a play that occurred in September 10th, 1978, in a game between Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers, with only 10 seconds left on the clock. Raiders quarterback Ken Stabler intentionally fumbled the ball forward to keep the play alive. Teammates Pete Benezak and Dave Casper knocked the ball forward until Casper fully recovered it in the end zone for a touchdown, winning the game. The league responded quickly, banning unintentional fumbles on the 4th down or within the final 2 minutes of play. If a fumble happens in those situations, only the player who fumbled can advance it. The Holy Roller rule is still in place, and its legacy serves as a reminder of how one play can prompt immediate rule changes. Another trick play that drew controversy was the fake slide. This play gained attention in 2021 during the ACC championship game, where Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett started to slide down to avoid contact, only to quickly pull out of it and keep running for a 58-yard touchdown. Defenders, believing Pickett was sliding, held back to avoid a penalty, leaving Pickett a free path to the end zone. Though it was a smart play at the time, the NCAA quickly banned the fake slide, stating that once a player begins a feet-first slide, the play is dead. While the NFL hasn't adopted the rule yet, Pickett's play reignited debates over sportsmanship and safety. Another interesting banned play is a punt block from the end zone, often called the Stroud rule. The Kansas City Chiefs once stationed their 6'10" tight end, Morris Stroud, in front of the goalpost to block low-flying kicks. His height made it possible to swat away otherwise successful kicks, which prompted the NFL to put an end to the tactic by instituting the Stroud rule, making it illegal to use players to stand in front of the goalposts to block kicks. This one dates back to the 1970s, when teams started using their centers in ways that were, let's say, a bit unconventional. Defenses, struggling to break through offensive line, came up with a new technique where 2 defensive linemen would grab the center's jersey or belt and catapult them over the offensive line. This would allow the center to dive headfirst into the backfield and potentially disrupt the quarterback or block a kick. At first, it seemed like a creative workaround to the usual trench warfare between offensive and defensive lines. However, it quickly became clear that it was dangerous for both the center and the offensive players in the path. Injuries started to pile up, particularly neck and spine injuries, as players were being launched in ways that the human body just wasn't designed for. In 1974, the NFL stepped in and banned the center catapult play. It wasn't just about safety though. The play also took advantage of an unintentional gap in the rules, where linemen were only supposed to block, not engage in gymnastic stunts. After the ban, defensive lines went back in more traditional ways of applying pressure, but for a brief moment, football had a bit of the circus feel to it. Another little-known play that earned a quiet ban was the sideline decoy tactic. In the late 80s, some offensive coordinators figured out a way to exploit the confusion on the sidelines during substitutions. Here's how it worked. A player, typically a wide receiver, would stay near the team's bench after a huddle, acting like he was being substituted out of the game. However, as the play began, the quarterback would snap the ball and then decoy, and the decoy would sprint downfield, completely uncovered by the defense, who assumed that wasn't an active player. The trick play caused several teams off guard, resulting in huge yardage gains and sometimes touchdowns. However, it wasn't long before defensive coordinators complained, saying that the play was unfair because it exploited natural sideline confusion and broke the spirit of the substitution rules. The NFL quietly banned the sideline decoy play in 1989, closing the loophole by requiring players to remain within the hash marks if they are part of the play. It wasn't the most dramatic ban, but it had a huge impact on how teams approached substitutions, keeping the focus on sportsmanship and avoiding deception that went beyond normal trick plays. Another rare but impactful banned play revolved around taking advantage of the sidelines in a way that the NFL wasn't prepared for. In the early 2000s, a few teams experimented while having wide receivers deliberately step out of bounds and continue sprinting up the sideline, only to re-enter the field of play right as the quarterbacks release the ball. Now, technically, a player is not allowed to catch a ball if they go out of bounds, unless they are forced out by a defender. But these teams figured out that if their players re-enter the field far enough ahead, they could argue they were pushed out or snuck back in. Defenses were completely thrown off. In one instance, a receiver on the West Coast team stepped out, ran up the sideline, came back in, and caught a 50-yard pass for a touchdown. The referee initially allowed it, citing the forced out rule, but defenses were irate. It didn't take long for the NFL to revise the rule in 2003, making it crystal clear: if a player steps out of bounds on their own, they are ineligible to catch a ball until they re-establish both feet on the field before the ball is thrown. This put an end to the out-of-bounds sprint strategy, ensuring that receivers had to play within the actual field of play and not use the sidelines as a loophole. Then there's a punching a loose ball. This play came under scrutiny in 2015 during a game between Detroit Lions and Seattle Seahawks. Lions Calvin Johnson tumbled near the goal line, and Seahawks linebacker KJ Wright batted the ball out of the end zone. The officials ruled it as a touchback, but replay showed Wright deliberately punched the ball out, which should have been penalized as an illegal bat. Had the call been made correctly, the Lions would have retained possession at the 1-yard line. Since then, the NFL has re-emphasized the need to watch for such plays, though debates over the rule's interpretation continue. Lastly, there's Bill Belichick's infamous clock management trick. In 2019, during a game against the Jets, Belichick had his team take intentional delay of game penalties to drain the clock. This move was within the rules at the time, but it sparked criticism for unsportsmanship. The NFL later adjusted the rules to prevent teams from using penalties to manipulate the game in such a way. So there you have it, a rundown of some of the NFL's wildest, most infamous banned plays. Each of these plays left its mark on the game, and many of the rules we see today came from moments just like these. But what do you think? Should some of these plays be allowed back into the game, or are they better off in the rulebook's history? Is the touch push an unfair advantage, or is it just smart football? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the world of football.